Hello there and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I want to present you the Conqueror, and I might do it in the same way that I did it with the revisit of the casemate tank destroyers throughout the nations. T-95, Jagdjäger, Object 268, Tortoise, the whole reproduction, and also of course the MX-50 Foch. So the Conqueror, it is, according to Gaijin, my most played tank of, I think it was 2016, and that was not because I like to play it. It was a hell to upgrade this with playing, and I think amongst the heavy tanks, this is one of the least enjoyable experiences that I ever had. It doesn't have the very best armor, the firepower is dubious, and the mobility is also not the very best. Now it's all not doom and gloom. There are some things going for this tank, and it's a rather interesting concept. It's the gun tank concept that it shares with the American M103. By the way, ManyMilesAway has made, as far as I know, 3 nice videos about the gun tank concept as a single video, and then also the M103 and also the Conqueror in greater detail. And it is interesting listening to those videos. You might want to check them out. So much for the proper shout out to another YouTuber, right, Miles? So jokes aside, the Conqueror, what makes it so unenjoyable? Well, first of all, the mobility, but that's not something new to the British, right? 34 kilometers an hour forwards, 11 kilometers an hour backwards, so that's actually not bad. But it's so clumsy on the ridgeline, the neutral steering, the lack of power, the ground resistance. It's really not nice to drive it, especially stock, believe me that. So that is the mobility. What about the armor? Well, with this patch it actually received here a ballistic, what's it really called? It is an additional ballistic protection package, and it adds 1.1 tons to the tank. If we take it off, then we can see that here on the front plate, and here is some additional armor, so I might just put it on again. And what does it really bring? What does it really give you? Well, actually nothing. It doesn't do anything about the lower glacis, which is one of the glaring weaknesses. The upper plate, well, it might be good against hash, but you don't get shot a lot with hash because the British are the hash firing nation, so for realistic it's not that useful. It doesn't give you any additional side armor, and this areas on the turret where it is also spaced armor, I don't know, it doesn't really attach any additional armor to the commander's cupola, and it is really annoying how often your gun breech gets knocked out, so that's another thing. So that upgrade is actually meaningless. So much for the armor. It's not really tough, but it's not nothing. At long range, you might think about the firepower. Well, it's a 120mm ordnance quick firing TKL-1A2 cannon. That's a bit of a mouthful. And it's a very similar gun to the Chieftain Mark III, except it has half the rate of fire, 15.8 for my expert crew versus the ace crew with 7.5 seconds on the Chieftain Mark III. So for all intents and purposes, you have double the rate of fire with the Chieftain Mark III. Again, it is a higher battle rating, so it has the same rate of fire as the M103. And the M103, let's have a quick look at the ammunition. Massive AP shot with 303mm with amazing post penetration damage effect, great high explosive shell, heat shell with 380mm, which once upon a time, was the strongest shell in the game. Can you imagine? Yeah. Good old days. Now back to the Chieftain, the Conqueror, sorry about this. Stock shells, 2, that's all that you get. Shot L1G, 362mm of APDS penetration with nearly 1500 meters per second. That sounds amazing. And that's, 20% more than the AP shot on the M103. but the post-penetration damage effect is poor, the reliability of the shell is bad, and sometimes it just disappears somewhat against slightly armored angles or gets completely absorbed by tracks, whereas the AP shot from the M103 just plows through completely and just guts everything in its way, and even in a big cone outside of that. And then we come to the shell L1TK, hash shell, reworked, now increased penetration at increasing angle, but it's still very, very unreliable. So that is really, really annoying if you have to combine those two shells with the long reload, because that means that you shoot the tank, you disable his, let's say, driver and gunner, and before you can reload, he rotates the crew, returns fire, and just goes into cover or disables you. And that's just the very annoying part. Or he gets away and you never see him again, or one of your team members comes around and gets the kill instead, and you're just left with a diet version of that, kill assist called. So I have now the proposed playstyle. It's boring, it's second line, it's camping, hence the nickname Conqueror. Again, here the reference to ManyMilesAway. It just doesn't really perform, hence this is the most played tank of mine in 2016 because it took that long to upgrade. I do not really like this tank. It is just not very good. It has less turret rotation speed, less gun depression, less rate of fire, less armor, and less mobility than the Chieftain, which is a superb tank, or at least it was when it came out, and remained for quite some time, where also the post-penetration damage effect on the APDS feels just a bit better, and that is not because it has 10% more penetration, so much for that. So I think that's enough rambling. Let's hop into some gameplay and see what's what. So the first scene is around about, the perfect conditions that you can have. I'm going here south to sea, and we are having some support by some light tanks, and there is a beautiful, beautiful spot for the Conqueror, like it would be designed for the Conqueror. It's a shallow ridgeline where the 7 degrees of gun depression are not an issue, and there is some cover for my light tanks. I can have some effective shooting into sea if an enemy shows itself. I can intercept the enemy tanks at rather long range if I spot them early enough. On the open field I can retreat, I have some smoke launchers, and I can make the most out of my turret armor if I get shot. It is, despite the tank not having a muzzle brake, astonishing how often enemy tanks hit the gun and the gun breach and disable it. So that's highly annoying. And you just have 4 crew, 3 of which are in the turret, so 1 turret penetration is all that it takes to kill you. And I'm not even talking about the newly added ready rack, which is not a beneficial thing in any sort of imaginable way. And there is our first customer. It's a Panther 2. Quick tank, not quicker than my shell. And we kill 2 of the 5 crew members with a successful penetration. He runs against a wall, and that is good enough for me to reload, and you can see how long it takes to get the necessary follow-up shots out, and it just takes so long. So I was very lucky that the enemy actually cooperated with me and stood still in the open by running against a concrete wall, which was conveniently placed in his way. You already can see that this is a bit of an issue. I might not have killed him with the M103 if I hit the same way, but still. Then I see here this Leopard, and I disable his cannon breach, and that's good enough for him to bail out and gift me the kill. So I think it's a bit about death by 1,000 peaks. And then we ammo-rack a second Leopard that was trying to harass our T-62 friend, and so we helped one of our teammates. We got a double strike, 3rd kill, and I actually fulfilled here my part. That's actually the entire action part of this battle, and yeah, 3 kills. We survived it with 20,000 silver lines and nearly 4,000 vehicle research points, being second in team. Not a special battle, but it just showed the perfect condition. Being in the second line, the enemy is just shooting somebody else of your team, and you can really make use of your gun. Although against the targets that I shot, I think another gun would have done it the same. Again, you just don't really face the opponents that you were designed to engage, like for instance the IS-3. Interesting history. Again, ManyMiles has here some better videos. Have I mentioned how to make a real shoutout? Yeah, this is how you do it, right? Yeah. Okay, jokes aside, he will understand, don't worry, mate. And now I'm just trying to get into position. Now in a straight line, the tank actually is not that terrible at keeping its top speed of around about 33 to 34 kilometers an hour. But the second it goes uphill, the second you have to turn or maneuver, the tank just is really sluggish, slow, feels very heavy, and it's just not its strength. The problem with the theory of staying hull down at long range and having the place to retreat is that the enemy has to come to you. Not every map offers this possibility, and what do you do in a city fight? Those are the problems that this tank effectively has to fight, and it's not all that easy. So I'm looking around here if there is any sort of enemy, and there is a Tiger 2. Now he actually smokes up, and he gets shot by an IS-6 buddy, and then there is this RE-251, and he foolishly stays in position. I blind him a little bit, fire on the move, and thanks to my stabilizer I get the shot in and kill him in one shot. That was lucky that he was angled the way he was, so the shell went right through the entirety of the tank, killing enough crew members to give me the kill. Now I tried to spot the enemy Tiger 2 with the machine guns. I forgot exactly where he was, I was kind of distracted, and I assume he's a bit more to the right. And it looks like I have no idea where I'm shooting, and I assumed that now I would hit him. Was not to be. So the smoke lifts and there is another smoke blob, and so it might take time. So a Tiger 2 killed our AMX-13 SS-11. So where is this tank, and where did the MX-13 die? Yeah, so much for the range finding if you don't know where your main gun is aiming. That was my mistake, I'm not complaining about that. However, I was really annoyed, and I got really impatient. It's not the tank for me to play, and so eventually I think, you know, camping and defending, it's all well and good, but at some point you have to capture the points, you have to push the enemy. When the enemy has the capture point, this tank does not really fit the meta. I'm not saying it's useless, I'm just saying it can be very frustrating and very annoying driving it. In many cases I think to myself, well, if I would have now a tank with a 20-pounder, or if I would sit in a Tiger 2, I have a better chance of killing the enemy. It's not the problem to penetrate the enemy, but to effectively kill him. Oh, Napalm, you're so critical. Just aim for the MRX. Yeah. The history of APDS and their love relation to MRX. It's an unwritten law. If you rely on an MRX detonation on the enemy tank and you are sitting in a tank that fires APDS, good luck. That's all I'm saying. If you disagree, well, I hope you have a different experience than I have. So here I expect somebody to stay on the right and camp, but no, there is nobody. Camping is my business, and I'm moving forwards. I cannot resist to just go in and try to bring the fight to the enemy. It's just my nature, you know, I've played enough. Now the thing is, if you listen carefully, you could hear the tank, and I was actually looking somewhere else and didn't see the, well, RE-251, because I was looking at another portion of the map, or the screen rather, and that was entirely my fault. Now in the replay, of course I saw him, and you know, a lot of people will now feel great that they can point that out, but you know, I'm showing you this video because of the pure results. And now I hear where he's going, but in typical RU251 fashion, if he would shoot my engine, I couldn't really repair, but instead he knocks out my loader. And there you can see the turret rotation speed. I have to turn my hull as well, and then he gets knocked out by an IS-3. Much balance, comrade. So that your actual designed foe, or the tank that you were designed to fight, helps you, tells you a lot about this game. Yeah, you just don't fight the tanks that you effectively could do much more damage with one shot. The damage cone of this APDS is really small and very frustrating. If you hit the wrong pixel, you just don't take out the enemy tanks. And so now I'm actually in a frontline camping situation, and it is not that easy to, you know, watch both sides. If an enemy tank now comes behind me, again, you know, to turn the hull, to turn the turret, to find the right spot, to insert the APDS in the side of the tank. And you know, you could load hash, I agree, but then again, hash is also not suited for the majority of situations. And now I try to go over the open field. It is risky, but again, you know, no movement, no action, no gameplay. And at some point you just have to change your camping point where the enemy might appear. Again, frontline camping. What use am I now around about B? Or around B rather? Not at all. So here now I try to get into a better position, and I want to fight here this pesky AAA. It looks like a Coelian, no, not a Coelian, a Kugelblitz. Let's see if we can find the bugger. I now switch to hash, and there is the connecting shot, and we hit the gunner. Yeah, no further casualties within the tank, and then again an IS-3 helps me out, and I get another kill assist. That's really not what I want to see. And now there is a Panther, so I'm going aggressively in, and that was a direct hit on the upper part of the upper frontal plate, and I just killed 3 of the 5 crew member. And again, he bails out in frustration, not because I did overcritical damage to him. If it would have just been me, he could have had a return shot at me. And then watch this. Yep, again we hit full the ammo, and we also killed just 2 of the 5 crew members with a side shot in a Coelian, and we get our 4th kill assist, which is now the 3rd with this IS-3. Yeah, that's really the degree of frustration that you have with this tank. You get so many kill assists, you need so many follow-up shots, the reload is so long, you don't have this one-shot shell, not the APDS, not the hash, ammo racks don't blow up, not just on the Coelian but also on many more tanks. Even if you had the perfect spot on an enemy tank, very often it doesn't turn out to be that great. And again, when you look for the perfect arrangement of situations, very often they just don't appear. So again, I have to point it out, the tank feels very punishing. If you hit the wrong pixel, if RNG is not with you, then yeah, I think the tank has not the very best place in the game. And I don't think that a battle rating reduction will actually help this tank. It's rather the game mechanics, the low damage output of the APDS, the unreliability of the hash despite the buff. it's just a lack of reload, and you know, now it has a ready ammo rack, so at some point I could run out of ammunition to fire directly. And as you can see, the change to get back here the ammunition in the ready rack is a rather long journey. Nice kill here on this leopard that wanted to ambush one of our spawn pushers, if you can call them. And I'm again in the second line where I'm doing best. Now I'm sure a lot of you have done many great things with this tank, but for me, I never had the battle where the tank was really convincing. It always was a struggle to make it work. It was always just so difficult to get in the shots. Again, for a hull down tank, you just have great turret armor, but in close quarters there are enough weak spots. Your gun gets disabled quite often, and there is still the commander's cupola, which I love as a target if I'm in a Russian or the German tank. And then we have this beautiful shot at the Jagdpanzer V5, and then the Hesh does the job. And that's my ace. So that's nice. And you know, for a hull down tank to just have 7 degrees of gun depression and the lack of maneuverability around the slopes and the ridgelines, it just isn't all that well. And that further reduces the locations where you can go hull down. Again, the chieftain is much better at doing that. Yep, and the Tiger 2 just turned the turret in time to absorb the hash round on the turret front. That was quite annoying. But even then, I put a lot of big hash rounds into the side of Tigers, and then they just don't die. And that tells you a lot how unreliable this hash shell is. The ammunition doesn't blow up, the crew just doesn't get killed, the range of the hash fragments or the fragments from the armor created by the hash effect is just not great enough, or not long range enough within the tank, so that a lot of tanks can survive it. Again, then the long reloads, yada yada yada. And there is now a Tiger 1, and he bounces on my turret. And now I take my time for a clean shot with the hash round. Okay, this is a 5.7 heavy tank. I can kill him, right? Nope. No, just no. Killing 3 of the 5 crews. And oh look, another IS tank got a kill on that. And I got my 5th kill assist. Oh, you should have aimed a few pixels lower. Oh, this and that. Yeah. Remember that Tiger 2 that I didn't kill with the hash shell? Well, he just killed an IS-6. And I'm eager to find out where he is, but I just don't see him between the trees. The match is about to end. Come on, come on. Where are you? Where are you? I have no idea where he is. Come on, show yourself. And then I saw the blast. He was to the right. Well, I got the survivor and the wingman and the best squad award. So at least the results are nice, right? Let's have a look what we got for 5 kill assists, 5 kills and 1 capture zone. There we go. Well, actually that's not too bad. Nearly 57,000 silver lines and 5,400 vehicle research points. Survivor award and many more awards that I really fancy. So that's it for me today with the Conqueror. I hope you enjoyed this revisit. Give it a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this, if I should continue this series. And as usual, we'll see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.